Okay, so here in this video we're going to look at solving some more radical equations. This time we have a cube equation. Again, as we learned in the previous video, when we want to raise both sides to a power, we want to have the radical by itself. So we begin by subtracting the 5 from both sides. That gives us the cube root of 4x minus 3 equals negative 3. And then at this point we have the radical by itself. Now that's a third root, so to get rid of that we're going to have to cube both sides. Now just like when you square a square root, when you cube a cube root, it goes away. And on the other side, negative 3 to the third would be negative 27. And then we proceed to solve that equation. Add a 3 to both sides. And then we have 4x equals negative 24. Divide both sides by 4, we get x equals negative 6. Now, cubing doesn't have the inherent problem that squaring does, because when you cube both sides, you don't lose negative signs. So you technically don't have to check your solutions when you're dealing with cubing. But anytime you do an even root like squaring or fourth power, you would have to check, but it doesn't hurt to check. Plugging that in, negative 6 into the original equation, we'd have 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. Negative 24 minus 3 would be negative 27. Cube root of negative 27 is negative 3. Plus 5. Negative 3 plus 5 is in fact equal to 2. Okay. Let's consider this equation. Once again we have some stuff with the square root, so we begin by getting rid of that. So we subtract off the x. We get negative square root of 8 minus x is equal to negative 4 minus x. At this point we can square both sides. Okay, now exponents will not distribute over addition and subtraction as we saw, but one of our rules for exponents is that it will distribute over multiplication. So what you're going to have here is that exponent on the left-hand side there is going to distribute. You'll have negative 1 squared, or negative squared, and then the square root of 8 minus x will be squared. Now on the other side, to do negative 4 minus x squared, remember exponents don't distribute over addition, so we have to multiply that out. Okay, and then we start to simplify. Negative 1 squared will just be 1, so it can kind of disappear. The square root squared will just be 8 minus x. On the other side now, we start to distribute. Negative 4 times negative 4 would be 16. Negative 4 times negative x would make that plus 4x. Negative x times negative 4 would be plus 4x. And then finally, negative x times negative x would be x squared. And then we proceed, we see here we have some like terms, 4x's, so we combine like terms. And then I'm just rearranging it so that the x squared's first. At this point we recognize, hey, we have a polynomial equation. So to solve that polynomial equation, we're going to need to get it equal to 0. So we subtract off the 8 and add the x, and do that to both sides. And again, matching up our like terms. That gives us 0 equals x squared plus 9x plus 8. Now I'm going to ask you to pause the video and take a moment and try to solve that equation. So we solve by factoring. Things that multiply to be 8 that add to be 9. Be a positive 8 and a positive 1. And then we use our zero factor property to set each of those factors equal to 0. That's the only way it could be true. And then we solve each of those equations. And so at this point we get two solutions. But because we squared both sides, right now those are just candidates to be solutions. We now need to go back and check each one individually. So go back and plug negative 8 in for x. That would give us negative 8 minus the square root of 8 minus a negative 8. And then when you simplify 8 minus a negative 8, that would be 8 plus 8 would be the square root of 8. Or sorry, 8 plus 8 would be the square root of 16, and then the square root of 16 is 4, so we'll have minus 8 minus 4 But if you simplify that, you get negative 12. That's not equal to negative 4. So that answer gets rejected. And then we have one last answer to check, the negative 1. So we plug negative 1 in. And then again, when we simplify inside the square root there, 8 minus the negative 1 would be 9. Square root of 9 would be 3. So we get negative 1 minus 3 is in fact equal to negative 4. Now, when you're solving an equation like this and you get two solutions, two possible solutions, when you get two possible solutions like this, there's actually three different possibilities that could happen. It could turn out that neither answer works, and then it could turn out that both answers work, and then, as happens in this case, only one of the answers works. So you do have to check your solutions to find out what the case is there. Okay, in the next videos we're going to look at solving an equation that actually has two radicals in it. Until then.